All right, gearing up for an interview as an import-export manager in waste and scrap. Talk about a career path that's vital and intriguing. It's where sustainability meets global trade. And let's be honest, the growth potential is huge. We're diving deep into RoleCatcher's insights to help you absolutely nail this interview.
What's fascinating about this field is that it's not just about moving trash around. It's about understanding complex global supply chains, navigating international regulations, and even contributing to a more sustainable future.
It's like being a global logistics detective, but for materials that most people wouldn't even think twice about. So to help you crack the case of this interview, we've got RoleCatcher's Career Guide and their treasure trove of sample interview questions. They've even broken down the career path into stages, giving you a glimpse into your potential future.
That's right, they outline the journey from coordinator to specialist, all the way up to senior management. Understanding these stages can actually be helpful in your interview. It shows you're not just looking for a job, but considering your long-term growth within the company.
It's like saying, hey, I'm not just here for the ride, I'm here to build something.
Hmm.
But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's get a handle on what this role actually entails.
The guide describes an import-export manager in this field as the maestro of cross-border business. You'd be setting up procedures, coordinating between internal teams, external suppliers, and customers, and of course making sure everything stays compliant with international laws.
Sounds like a lot of responsibility, but also a lot of opportunity to make a real impact. Now, I'm curious about the work environment. Is it all spreadsheets and conference calls? Or is there room for, say, a business trip or two?
Well, the guide indicates that the work is primarily office-based, but with potential for international travel. Imagine visiting recycling facilities in Europe, or negotiating deals with suppliers in Southeast Asia. Talk about a chance to experience the global waste and scrap ecosystem firsthand.
All right, so we've got a handle on the role, but let's talk about you, the candidate. What are the skills and qualities that interviewers are really looking for in this field?
RoleCatcher's guide highlights 3 key skills. Monitoring, because you'll be keeping a close eye on those shipments and staying on top of deadlines. Critical thinking, essential for making those smart decisions under pressure, especially when things don't go according to plan. And finally, active listening and coordination, because you'll be the central point of contact, juggling multiple stakeholders and ensuring everyone is on the same page.
So it's a blend of analytical skills, communication prowess, and a knack for keeping things organized. But how do you demonstrate these skills in an interview? That's where those sample questions come in, right?
Exactly. RoleCatcher provides a fantastic repository of potential interview questions, and they're designed to help you showcase your experience and expertise. And here's where it gets even better. Their AI can actually analyze your answers and provide personalized feedback, helping you tailor your responses to specific job roles.
Talk about a secret weapon. So you're not just prepping for any interview, you're prepping for this interview. Let's dive into some of those sample questions, shall we?
Let's start with a classic. Can you tell us about your experience with customs regulations and documentation? This one is all about demonstrating your knowledge of the legal and logistical aspects of international trade.
It sounds intimidating, but this is actually your chance to shine. Think back to specific examples from your experience. Have you ever had to research a particular regulation for a shipment? Or maybe you implemented a new procedure to ensure compliance. Those are the kinds of details that will make your answer stand out.
And don't be afraid to go beyond just listing regulations. Connect them to your experiences. Did you ever have to navigate a tricky customs issue? Maybe a time when a shipment was held up and you had to find a solution. Those real-world examples will show the interviewer that you can handle the complexities of this role.
It's like saying, I've been there, done that, and I'm ready for more.
Okay, so let's say they follow up with, how do you stay updated on changes in international trade laws and regulations? How would you approach that one? That's a great follow-up question, and it's designed to assess your commitment to continuous learning. Think about the resources you use to stay informed. Industry publications, online courses, professional organizations. Maybe you even attend conferences or workshops to keep your knowledge current.
It's all about showing that you're proactive and dedicated to staying ahead of the curve in a field that's constantly evolving.
Oh.
Now let's imagine they throw a curveball. Describe a situation where a shipment was delayed or damaged. How did you handle it?
This question is all about your problem-solving skills and your ability to stay calm under pressure. Remember, the interviewer isn't necessarily looking for a perfect solution. They want to see your thought process, your ability to assess the situation, and take decisive action.
So walk them through your steps. Did you have to collaborate with different teams, negotiate with suppliers or customers? Maybe you've even had to think outside the box to find a creative solution. The key is to demonstrate your resourcefulness and your commitment to finding the best possible outcome.
And remember to highlight what you learned from the experience. Did it change your approach to risk management? Did it strengthen your communication skills? Showing that you're able to learn and grow from challenges is a valuable asset in any role.
All right, we've tackled a few tough ones, but before we move on to more interview prep, let's take a moment to talk about the industry itself. What are some of the trends shaping the world of waste and scrap management?
RoleCatcher's Guide highlights the growing importance of technology in this field, from tracking systems to data analytics. Technology is transforming how waste and scrap materials are managed and traded.
So if you're tech savvy and have a knack for data analysis, those skills could really give you an edge. What other trends should we be aware of?
The guide also emphasizes the increasing need for professionals who can navigate the complex world of international trade and environmental regulations. As global trade expands and sustainability becomes a top priority, the demand for individuals with expertise in these areas is only going to grow.
It sounds like a career path with both challenges and incredible opportunities for those who are passionate about making a difference.
It certainly seems like a dynamic and evolving field. But let's get back to those interview questions. After all, landing the job is the first step to making your mark in this industry.
Right you are. Let's say the interviewer asks, how do you ensure quality control for waste and scrap materials? This one might seem straightforward, but it's a chance to demonstrate your understanding of industry standards and your commitment to excellence.
It's a great opportunity to highlight any specific procedures or protocols you've implemented to ensure the quality of materials. Perhaps you've worked with suppliers to establish quality standards, or implemented a robust inspection process.
And don't forget to mention any relevant certifications or training you have in quality management. Things like Six Sigma or ISO certifications can really demonstrate your dedication to maintaining high standards.
Absolutely. It shows you're not just talking the talk, but you've invested in developing the skills and knowledge to walk the walk. Now, switching gears a bit, let's talk about the human element of this role. How would you answer the question, how do you manage relationships with suppliers and customers?
This one's all about those interpersonal skills. Can you build rapport? Are you a clear communicator? Can you handle those sometimes tricky conversations with diplomacy and professionalism?
Think about specific examples that showcase your ability to build and maintain strong relationships. Maybe you negotiated a mutually beneficial contract with a supplier, or successfully resolved a dispute with a customer while keeping the relationship intact.
Those real-world examples are gold. And don't be afraid to talk about your communication style. Do you prefer email, phone calls, or face-to-face meetings? Showing that you're adaptable and know how to communicate effectively in different situations is key.
Speaking of different situations, let's tackle a question that delves into the complexities of international trade. Can you describe your experience with risk management related to importing and exporting waste and scrap materials?
Ooh, that's a big one. What kind of risks are we talking about here?
There's a whole spectrum of potential risks. Legal compliance, environmental regulations, market fluctuations, even political instability in certain countries. The interviewer wants to know that you're aware of these risks and have strategies to mitigate them.
So this is where you can really showcase your expertise. Have you ever conducted a risk assessment, developed a contingency plan, maybe even implemented a safety protocol to protect workers or the environment? These are the kinds of experiences that demonstrate your ability to think ahead and plan for potential challenges.
Exactly. It's about showing that you're not just reactive, but proactive in identifying and addressing potential risks. Now let's shift gears and talk about a question that focuses on logistics. How do you manage logistics and transportation for waste and scrap shipments?
This one might seem like it's all about moving stuff from point A to point B, but it's actually much more than that, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's about optimizing routes, minimizing costs, and ensuring environmental responsibility. Think about your experience with negotiating shipping rates, implementing tracking systems, or even exploring alternative transportation methods to reduce the environmental impact.
It's about seeing the bigger picture and understanding how logistics plays a crucial role in the success of the entire operation. And here's a thought. Could you also use this question to highlight your understanding of sustainability in the context of logistics?
That's a brilliant point. You could talk about your experience with implementing sustainable transportation practices, such as using fuel-efficient vehicles, or exploring options for carbon offsetting.
It's a way to demonstrate that you're not just focused on the bottom line, but also on the environmental impact of your decisions. And speaking of demonstrating your commitment to sustainability, let's imagine the interviewer asks, what are your thoughts on the role of sustainability in the waste and scrap industry?
This question is an invitation to showcase your passion for this field. Talk about your understanding of the circular economy, the importance of resource recovery, and the role of the waste and scrap industry in creating a more sustainable future.
You could even mention specific initiatives or projects you've been involved in that demonstrate your commitment to sustainability. Maybe you helped implement a recycling program or volunteered with an organization that promotes environmental awareness.
It's about showing that sustainability is more than just a buzzword for you. It's a core value that drives your work and your decision-making.
So we've covered a lot of ground with these interview questions, and I think we've given our listeners some solid strategies to approach them with confidence.
We certainly have. But remember, the best way to prepare is to practice. And that's where RoleCatcher's AI can be an incredibly valuable tool. Not only can you practice answering these questions and get personalized feedback, but you can also tailor your answers to specific job roles, ensuring that you're highlighting the most relevant skills and experience for each opportunity.
It's like having a personal interview coach in your pocket. But before we wrap up, I want to circle back to the career guide and highlight those different career stages they outline.
That's a great point. Understanding those stages can not only inform your answers in the interview, but also help you envision your future career trajectory in this field.
So let's take a closer look at those stages and what they entail. Starting with the entry-level position of Import-Export Coordinator.
According to the guide, a coordinator typically assists with administrative tasks, data entry, and communication with suppliers and customers. They're often involved in the day-to-day operations of importing and exporting waste and scrap materials.
It sounds like a great opportunity to gain hands-on experience and learn the ropes of the industry. What about the next step, the Import-Export Specialist?
As a specialist, you'll typically have more responsibility for managing specific projects or accounts. You'll likely be more involved in negotiating with suppliers and customers, handling documentation, and ensuring compliance with regulations.
So it's a step up in terms of both responsibility and expertise. What about the role of Import-Export Manager? We've talked a lot about this role already, but what are the key responsibilities that the guide highlights?
The guide describes an import-export manager as overseeing the entire import-export process, from sourcing materials to coordinating logistics to ensuring compliance with all regulations. They're often responsible for managing a team of coordinators and specialists and making strategic decisions that impact the success of the operation.
It sounds like a challenging but rewarding role for someone who's passionate about this field and looking to take on a leadership position. And finally, what about the pinnacle of the career path? The Senior Import-Export Manager.
According to the guide, a senior import-export manager is typically responsible for developing and implementing long-term strategies for the import-export operation. They may oversee multiple teams or departments and be involved in high-level decision-making that impact the overall direction of the company.
So it's a role that requires a deep understanding of the industry, strong leadership skills, and the ability to think strategically about the future of the business. It's inspiring to see the potential for growth and advancement in this field.
It certainly is. And the guide even mentions that senior managers in this field often have the opportunity to travel internationally, building relationships with suppliers and customers around the world.
Talk about a global career path. It's amazing to see how this seemingly niche field offers such diverse opportunities for professional development and growth. It really does. It paints a picture of a career with both impact and room to grow. But let's bring it back to the present moment. You've got this interview coming up, and I know you're ready to make a stellar impression.
Absolutely. We've covered those key interview questions, explored industry trends, and even mapped out potential career paths.
What does this all mean for you, the candidate about to step into that interview room?
It means you're not just going in prepared, you're going in strategically. You understand the role, the industry, and you've got compelling stories to back up your skills.
But here's a final thought from me. And it's something that RoleCatcher emphasizes throughout their guide. Continuous learning is essential in this field. The world of waste and scrap is constantly evolving, so how do you plan to stay ahead of the curve?
That's a fantastic point. It's not just about landing the job. It's about building a successful and fulfilling career. And that requires a commitment to ongoing learning and development.
Absolutely. Maybe you'll subscribe to industry publications, like Waste Management World or Recycling International, to stay informed about the latest trends and innovations.
Those are great resources. And don't underestimate the power of networking. Attending industry conferences or joining professional organizations can expose you to new ideas, connect you with mentors, and open doors to unexpected opportunities.
It's like building a support system for your career, surrounding yourself with people who are just as passionate about this field as you are. And speaking of support systems, don't forget that RoleCatcher can be your partner in all of this, even after you land the job.
Their AI-powered tools can help you identify skills gaps, recommend relevant courses or certifications, and even provide personalized feedback on your professional development progress. It's like having a career coach in your pocket, guiding you every step of the way.
So remember, this interview is just the beginning. Go in with confidence, knowing you've prepared strategically and you're ready to embark on a dynamic and impactful career.
The world of waste and scrap needs innovative, forward-thinking professionals like you. Stay curious, stay informed, and never stop learning. We're rooting for you.
Good luck with your interview.